All right. Well, I think it looks like the trickle has slowed down. Jen, is that what you see?
Yeah, and I'll keep letting folks in as I see.
Okay. So welcome. I am doing my stint here as the facilitator for our March 21st meeting. Today we have a couple of pretty exciting agenda items, at least I think so. First up, we have ApprenticeshipNH, and I'd like to welcome Ann Banks, who is the apprenticeship program manager. She works, it's through the Community College System of New Hampshire, and she is coordinating the efforts of the ApprenticeshipNH team to assist businesses with building pre-apprenticeship to registered apprenticeship pathways. Prior to taking on her current role, she was the ApprenticeshipNH high school grant manager and has worked closely with the program since 2018. And then we also have Charlotte Williams. Is Charlotte here? Oh, yep, there she is.
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome. And
Thank you.
is the Apprenticeship Building America grant manager with the team. And prior to this role, she spent several years in higher education, workforce development, and the nonprofit sector. So instead of me explaining what ApprenticeshipNH is, I'll let these two take over and let us know what they're up to and how that can benefit our communities. So Ann, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us this morning and being able to share. I do have a PowerPoint. I promise we're not going to bore you with it. Feel free to jump in with questions at any time. And, just so that you know, we're just going to go over, for those that aren't familiar with registered apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship, just give a high-level overview of what those are, how they can connect together, what Apprenticeship New Hampshire does, and then also give some updated information for our newest grant, which is the Apprenticeship Building America grant, or ABA grant that Charlotte manages. So I'm going to pull up my screen. And hopefully everybody can see that. And I'm just going to move you guys so I can see you as well while I'm talking to you. All right, I think I have everybody there. All right, so I just have to get on the right screen, new to Zoom. So Apprenticeship New Hampshire. So Apprenticeship New Hampshire has been around since 2017. We are federally funded through U.S. Department of Labor grants that are, the sole purpose is to expand registered apprenticeships across the state. We work in almost every sector available, with the exception of farming and a few other occupations out there. But if it's an occupation in New Hampshire, we can usually work with it. We are funded through June of 2026. And our goal, again, is to build a sustainable infrastructure for registered apprenticeship programs across the state. And we work to help support employers, the community, and job seekers and make all of those connections happen.
Hey, don't get into the kitty food.
I don't know if that was a question for me. No. Okay. So the components of a registered apprenticeship. So there are 7 components. The first one is that it's industry led. And so the reality is that we know apprenticeships work, right? They are a tried and true workforce development tool that have been used in the trades forever. And now, because we know that it works and we know that that's a great model, we are in non-traditional sectors. So when we say that it's industry led, all of the occupations that are available have been vetted nationwide to make sure that it meets the demands of what that occupation and what employers are looking for. With that, when we're helping an organization or an employer build a registered apprenticeship program, we start with a framework that's been developed and then help them customize that to meet their needs. The next component is that it actually is paid employment for the apprentice. An employer will hire an apprentice on. They will start at a lower wage than what someone who is fully qualified would be making. And then, they're going to progress throughout that apprenticeship as they gain skills. And then when they finish their apprenticeship program, they'll be making what someone who is fully qualified would be making. The real meat of an apprenticeship program and a registered apprenticeship program is the structured on-the-job learning and supplemental education. So what that means is that they are learning theory in a classroom and applying it on the job with the employer. That classroom instruction can be done at a community college. It can be done using credit-bearing programs at the community college. It could be done using non-credit programs. There's also online training, and we also will build programs that fit the needs of the employer and the apprentice for the instruction. The on-the-job training hours, the length varies depending upon the occupation. And there is a one-to-one mentor for the on-the-job training. So that mentor doesn't have to be glued at the individual's hip, but they do need to be fully qualified in the occupation so that that individual apprentice has somebody that they can go to for support when they're learning. Apprenticeship programs promote diversity. So the apprenticeship programs should reflect the communities in which they're built. There is also a high level of commitment to quality and safety. There's a lot of protections put in for an apprentice. And then at the end of the program, an apprentice earns a credential. It's a national credential that's accepted really anywhere. And so that is kind of a great hook for apprentices to come in because they know that they're earning this credential, but it's also really a good point for employers because then they can say that their workforce has been trained to federal standards. So to go along with registered apprenticeship, there's pre-apprenticeships. And really a pre-apprenticeship is anything that prepares an individual to enter a registered apprenticeship program. But there is a framework for something to be high quality pre-apprenticeship, which is really the space that we work from. There should be an education component. There should be an on-the-job training, a hands-on experience. The number one thing that we look for when we're developing pre-apprenticeship programs is that there's facilitated entry into a registered apprenticeship program. So it's not enough just to say, okay, I'm going to recognize that as a pre-apprenticeship, but you want to be able to guarantee an interview or have some kind of facilitated entry from that pre-apprenticeship into the registered apprenticeship program. It's also committed, having a commitment to increasing diversity. Actually having some support services for those pre-apprentices and then building sustainable partnerships as well. So how can pre-apprenticeship work for you? Once you have a registered apprenticeship program, you can build pre-apprenticeships to directly connect high school and adult candidates into that registered apprenticeship program. So it really helps you build that talent pipeline going into that registered apprenticeship. So you're not always having to go out and try and fill that space. Some sample programs that we have built is there's an education or a boot camp based course that has the guaranteed interview to the registered apprenticeship program. It could be a paid internship that will lead to that interview into the registered apprenticeship program or lead directly into it. Our gold standard and our best practice is to have that combination of both to where somebody is getting some baseline education skills and then having some job experience as well. And so, as an organization or an employer, they can build their pre-apprenticeship from scratch. We help them do that. Or they can look at existing programs. A good example of that is, Work Ready New Hampshire, which really is a program that really develops soft skills or the essential skills instead of calling them soft because they aren't soft. So people can recognize Work Ready New Hampshire as a pre-apprenticeship for their registered apprenticeship program and then align that. So what does Apprenticeship New Hampshire do? So we help you do all of that. So we sit down with the employers and the organizations to really work as an intermediary between the employer, the U.S. Department of Labor, high schools, talent resources, to really pull together the best program that you could have to help you build out that pre-apprenticeship to registered apprenticeship pathway. So we walk you through the development of your standards of apprenticeship, and then we also provide technical assistance throughout the life of your apprenticeship. We also help with recruiting apprentices. So once an employer comes on board and they have their standards signed, we have a full team. Our team has grown immensely. So we have a full team that can help develop a recruitment strategy with you. And so that includes high school students, and that also includes job seekers from other talent sources and community partners. And, we'll post the opportunities on our website. We do it through social media. Our most popular avenue is through our information sessions. So we work closely with the employer to host information sessions specifically to hire for the registered apprenticeship program, where we share information, we do with marketing for it, and bring them in. We are not a staffing agency by any means, but we do our best to promote the apprenticeship program. And then you also will have access to ApprenticesScope, which is an apprentice tracking software. It's actually web-based. So it takes an apprentice from application to completion. So it helps with the management of the program, and it helps communication between the Apprenticeship New Hampshire team and the employer. And then what everybody loves is funding, right? So we are grant funded, which means we have to give some of that money away. So we have scholarship funds that range from $500 to $2,000 per apprentice that can go for the related instruction. We have support service funds, which really are designed to reduce any barriers to employment that an apprentice may have. We all know that people are struggling right now. Apprenticeships work because it's an earn and learn model. There's a lot of people who want to get into careers and they can't because they can't quit their current job. So not only can they have this earn and learn model to where they're switching their career and they're learning on the job, they're getting paid, and they're going to school, we can provide additional support for them in the form of childcare, transportation costs, tools, uniforms, anything that would prevent them from being able to participate in the program. We're in the process of paying some rent bills right now and car payments because people are just so far behind. There's also the potential for a 50% wage reimbursement for on-the-job training costs for the apprentices. And then we also really work to connect you with state and federal funding resources to help things like Work Invest and workforce opportunities at WIOA funding as well. So we really try to support you as best as we can to give you the best foot forward with your apprenticeship program. And with funding, it's now probably best to turn it over to our newest grant, and I'm going to turn it over to Charlotte.
Thank you, Anne. As Anne said, Apprenticeship New Hampshire is now funded through 2026, and our newest grant that we've received is the Apprenticeship Building America grant, the ABA grants. It's $5.8 million over 4 years to continue the great work of Apprenticeship New Hampshire and really to expand our efforts. One of the big focuses of this grant is to create 4 regional apprenticeship hubs by the CCS&H college locations. So we will have a northern hub with White Mountains Community College, East Central, which covers NHTI, Lakes Region, and Great Bay Community College. Southern Hub, which is Manchester Community College and Nashua Community College, and then the Western Hub with River Valley Community College. And this hub model is really going to establish that sustainable infrastructure for registered apprenticeships in New Hampshire and give increased state agency, community, employer, and industry engagement. Next slide, please. So what is a hub? The hub is really the development of partnerships amongst industry, community organizations, education and state agencies. And like I said, they're going to align with those geographic locations of New Hampshire's community colleges, but it brings together employers, industry associations, sector groups, registered apprenticeship sponsors, providers of education, the related instruction, community organizations. A big focus of Apprenticeship New Hampshire is really increasing the diversity and the accessibility, the equity to registered apprenticeship programs. So we're partnering with community organizations to reach those underserved populations, high school CTE centers, state agencies, and of course we're funded through the U.S. Department of Labor, and we have a very close relationship and work very closely with the Office of Apprenticeship up in Concord. Next slide, please. So these regional hubs, they're going to provide technical assistance to partners to build and expand the registered apprenticeships. And as Anne said, we're pretty much in every sector of New Hampshire's economy now. We're in healthcare, IT, manufacturing, transportation and logistics, education, hospitality, and construction. Our team is expanding. I have joined as the grant manager. We have 2 hub coordinators, one for the northern and western part of the state and one for southeast central. And we're also in the process of hiring 4 developers, hub developers, and they're going to work directly with employers and partners to help build the registered apprenticeship programs and provide the technical assistance that's needed. Next slide, please. And through this newest grant, it's really focused on funding and supports to employers. So we have a number of employer incentives and subawards. There's an RFP in process right now. It has been extended through June 30th or until the funds are expended. And through that process, we have $340,000 available in each of the 4 years. There are tier funding opportunities from $10,000 to $100,000. And those funds can be used by employers for program administration and costs that may be related to the design and setup of a registered apprenticeship, the classroom education or online training for apprentices, or train the trainer costs. So it's really this grant coming in conjunction with the other grants that we have really provides an opportunity to provide support to employers and apprentices. We also have around $70,000 each year for the 4 years for employer incentive funding to really enable employers to kind of dip a toe in the water and give registered apprenticeship a try and see what it can do for you. And like I said, the funding from all of our grants can really be braided together to support both employers and apprentices. Next slide, please. And so this is our contact information. Anne is our apprenticeship programs manager, as she said. I'm the grant manager for the Apprenticeship Building America grant, and Cynthia Capodestria is our high school grant manager. Thank you. We'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Thank you, Anne and Charlotte. Let's see, we'll get back to our normal screen. There we go. Excellent. So thank you very much. I know it's a lot of exciting opportunities out there to help develop our workforce. Does anyone have questions?
Jennifer, I'd like to ask something.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, I noticed the sectors listed don't include any government sector, municipal, state, or federal. Is that due to the grant requirements, or is there other considerations there? I'm thinking of, you know, what will we have to somehow squeeze a shoehorn government sector positions, it's like EMS, police, public works into those 7, or is there a possibility of getting an 8th?
So it really would go by occupation, right? So emergency medical services can fall under healthcare. And so we have been in conversations with the state to build public sector apprenticeship programs. So it would be really occupation specific, right? So within the public sector and, you know, state and federal, state, we've been asked by the state to make sure that it's going through the Office of Personnel and then expanding out from there. But it's, you know, if there's IT for a municipality, we could do that. If there is, you know, some specific occupation within there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. If there's other people, just there's so many people on my screen and a lot of, so if there's someone who has a question, just speak up. All right, I think, is someone, all right, just remember, if you're asking a question, you might be muted. All right.
Hey, Jen, if I could, I'll just jump in as formally spending time with CCSNH and at Great Bay Community College. This really is an amazing program for employers, and you know, I know all of us on this call, we're dealing with employers. We're probably getting a lot of questions about you know, what's out there to help me fill these roles, and if you're not familiar with this program, you really need to be. I would say it's the first program I talk about when I talk to an employer who's telling me they're having problems hiring people. And again, I have a little more experience in knowing that it takes some work. It takes the employer to step up and invest kind of in themselves and in their workforce. But there's really nothing like this. And CCSNH has been at this for a while. So I was pleased to hear that there's even more wraparound services and dollars available, so that the employer is not out there trying to figure this out on their own. There's just a ridiculous amount of support and infrastructure. So if you've got an employer who just literally doesn't know what to do, you just need to make this connection, and someone will take their hand.
Thanks, Sean. Yeah.
Thank you.
We did get a question in the chat, Jennifer.
Okay.
Is there a minimum number of apprenticeships an organization should anticipate in order to participate? There is no minimum number. We've built programs for employers who have put in 1 apprentice. We've built programs that have put in 10 apprentices. We have employers with multiple apprenticeship programs, and we have some that just have 1 apprenticeship program. And then they have 1 apprentice in the 1 apprenticeship program. So it's really all what people are comfortable with building. You know, I can't stress enough that in this climate, it really is building your own workforce. It's not going to be a workforce, your complete and one and only workforce solution for an employer, but it is a very strong tool. And really, you know, it can be done for an entry-level position or even a high skilled position now. And then what we're really focusing and helping businesses look at and build out is really a pipeline and a stackable credential of apprenticeships. So somebody can be coming in at an entry level, then they could be going into the next level apprenticeship and then the next level apprenticeship. So that makes the employer even more attractive to talent who's coming in, because they can see where everything is going to go and how everything can lead to a full occupation within that company and a full career. And with the ABA grant, there's all of the funds to help that now, in making the connections to try to get things off the ground. because there is a little bit of work. There's management that has to be done for the apprenticeships, for the apprentices, but we do help you with that to set up a system for that as well.
Hey, and Charlotte, do you still list the apprentices, the successful apprentice companies you work with through the grant on the website?
There's some
Yes.
tutorials. There's
I
some
just-
testimonials on there.
For those of us on the call who, if we're talking to employers and they're just not sure, if they take a look at that list, they'll see employers like themselves, and they do come in all shapes and sizes. So we know that that's always important. If they can see themselves in an employer that's having success with apprenticeship, they're more likely to maybe reach out and do the homework themselves.
And we will be doing some regional connector events. They'll be coming up in May, and there will be one in every region of the state. And we'll absolutely get that information out to you if you'd be interested in coming and joining us and learning more about the opportunities.
Yeah, that'd be great. I see that there's Darren has a follow-up question. Anne, can you see that question?
Yes, I can. And the question is, can the town of Exeter create an apprenticeship for water sewer operator? Yes, you can. We actually worked with the New Hampshire, I can't believe I'm forgetting it. Boyd is the chair of that. It doesn't matter, but yes, it is apprenticeable occupation. And so we can help you do that. Towns and municipalities can become sponsors of registered apprenticeship. State, like full state agencies, we are asked to go through the Office of Personnel. So that's a little bit more of a hoop to jump through. But if you have the right townspeople, then that could work. And then the 50% OJT funds, it's done on a reimbursement. And it is limited per apprentice. So it's up to $2,000 per apprentice. And that's until the OJT funds are expended through that grant. But then also with the ABA grant, there's some administration costs that can be absorbed through that or paid for through that with the proposal. So there's lots of opportunities. We've also had a lot of associations, not a lot, we've had a few associations who have come on board to take on the sponsorship role so that then employers can come on underneath them. So with this group, that may be something that you may want to consider, that if you are part of an association or an organization that has the bandwidth to manage multiple employers and help manage multiple apprentices within an occupation for the employers, sometimes that makes it easier for the employers to join in. And Jennifer, I can share the PowerPoint with you too, if you want to share
perfect.
it.
That'd be great. I can share it with the group. Is there, I can see these employers being excited about this program and getting in an apprenticeship, and then with the job market the way it is there any kind of guarantee that once they help put an employee through the apprenticeship program that they will work then for that company, or do they then have the freedom to go off and find another job?
Yep, it's just like any other employee that's coming in, right? So, the employer doesn't have to keep the apprentice, and the apprentice doesn't have to stay with the company. The thing to keep in mind is that, with return on investment, if you start looking at the amount that's going into the training and bringing people on board, you're having that person working for you for that amount of time of that apprenticeship program. So there is a benefit. And then it's really what we found with registered apprenticeship programs is that it really shifts a culture within an organization because they have that mentorship. The people want to end up staying. A lot of the times the employers will pay for some, if not all, actually most of our employers pay for the related instruction, or at least provide a reimbursement for that. And there's a sense of gratitude and belonging with apprentices to that organization. When the organization, and we help coach the employers through this as well as to what really works and how is that going to work really well. We have a healthcare facility that has has like a 95% retention rate for an entry-level position, which is, you know, almost unheard of, because you're talking a time where, you know, entry-level healthcare positions, they're jumping ship to go, you know,
Mhm.
for 25-cent raise. And I also think that that's part of what we're hoping to develop and reduce by creating these hubs of apprenticeship, is by having employers come together and work together to build these apprenticeship programs, so that if maybe they're not necessarily a good fit here, but maybe they'd be a great fit for this other company, but, you know, and they could be kind of having that be fluid, and then coming to a consensus. You know, we worked with some HVAC companies when we were building a pre-apprenticeship program. And it was like, we just need to agree that this is what we're going to pay, right? Like, this is what our rate of pay is. And they came to that consensus together, and that's what they do. And they still do that now. So that's the ultimate goal for these hubs, is to have everybody working together so that there isn't a talent shortage, and there isn't, you know, that competition amongst industries for talent.
And the other thing, we've found that organizations are working together in certain sectors like healthcare, and these programs are providing a career pathway within their organization. So they may have folks come in to environmental services that may have an interest in L&A or medical assistant, and it's providing a career pathway through their organization and improving the retention as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you both. Is there any last question? James, you've got one?
Yeah,
there?
it strikes me, especially when you're talking about the mentorship, that, you know, not only is this sort of a career pathway for those people seeking entry, but it can also be, you know, a tool for building, you know, some of those leadership or supervisory skills for the people who are being the mentors. And so not only are you filling a position with apprentices, you're also sort of, you know, continuing to build that career ladder for the people who are assisting with the program as well. And those are, you know, your future middle management, you know, senior leadership people, sort of beginning their own training and leadership and, you know, management of people.
Absolutely. And that's what we really feel is the biggest difference between just bringing somebody in and training them and having them be part of this structured program with that mentor. It helps the apprentice, but it also shifts that culture, because it's showing your mentors that you have faith in them to be training the next people coming up. And also, you know, we're still facing that retirement, right? That peak retirement. So it's a great way to transfer all of that knowledge before it leaves, because they can be working with those individuals. And we have a free mentor training as well on our website for the mentors, because that was something that we heard from our employers, that they wanted something that they could use for their mentors.
Excellent. Well, with that, I think we'll wrap things up, and we'll provide the slideshow, and that has their contact information. So I'm happy to forward that on to the group. So I want to thank you, Anne and Charlotte, for being on our call today.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks for having
you.
us.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to turn it over to Jen and Shayna, sorry, who are going to talk about their comprehensive economic development strategy plan.
All right, good morning. So actually Natalie's gonna, since Natalie is still here, Natalie is gonna share with me here a little bit. Just a really quick update where we are. Most all of you, at least those in the SRPC region, should have received some communications from us to submit your projects, your priority projects for the SEDS. We are hoping to have them all in by March 31st. I know we told you the 16th initially, but we built in a little buffer and a little emergency space for you know, babies and things like that to happen. So if you can send those along. Oh, now Shayna is actually just joining us now. either Natalie or Shayna will share with you in a brief moment. We've taken a different approach to doing the project solicitation this time, and we hope it's been a little bit easier for everyone. Just a few more kind of highlights on our upcoming timeline. We do currently have the chapter update drafts written. They are currently undergoing peer review internally. And then the next step will be to prepare the data pages. We do that concurrent with our annual data snapshot update. So that will be mid-April. We plan to share with you a full update at our meeting on April 18th. And then shortly thereafter, we'll kind of fold in that final bit of input and review. We'll be posting a draft for a public comment early in May, presenting to our commissioners May 19th, and then adopting on June 16th. So I will pass it to either Natalie or Shayna just to give some highlights on the new project portal.
Good morning. I'm just getting pulled up. I'm sorry, the internet on my work laptop wasn't working, so I'm trying to do this from my personal laptop. So I'm just getting the project solicitation pulled up. So give me 1 second.
Shayna, would it help for Natalie to share?
If she has, I don't know if she's logged into it.
I believe so.
I'm logged into it. Yep. Give me 1 second.
If you want to pull it up, I can talk through it. Sorry about that.
Okay, can you see?
Yes, thank you. So we wanted to take a different approach, like Jen said, this year to do project solicitation. We've done a lot of creating PDF forms or Word documents and sending them all out separately, having those updated, going back and forth individually with our different contacts for each community, which is a very tedious process to stay in touch with every single person, send those forms out separately. So we were trying to brainstorm about a way that we could do this more efficiently. We've been using this product called Airtable for our website and some other projects. It's a great tool. It kind of uses like an Excel database to create different products. So what we did was we put in all the information we had from our various project solicitation programs from last year and the appropriate contact. And we created a platform where you could go in and update your project here. So you didn't have to take a Word doc or go back and forth via email. You could just log into this platform, update those projects and mark them as reviewed so that we know that they're done. And you could also enter new projects and create new project leads. So if someone from your organization left and you have a new project lead, you could add them in. So it's a very cool tool. This is an example looking at the regional housing needs assessment. So this was all the information that was in there. If you were to go in and update it, you would just play with these various fields. And then at the bottom, and where Natalie's clicking right now is where you would mark that you've reviewed it, it's all set, or you're coming back to it, there's some more changes you have to make later, just so we can keep on track with who we need to reach back out to. And at the very bottom is a field for any updates that happened in the last year. So we found it to be really useful this year. Not too many hiccups. We did hold some office hours in case anyone wanted to come in and ask questions. So we had one individual who used that time, but we found it to be a really awesome tool, and I think we're going to continue to use it. It's gone well. We might tweak a couple of things. And then this is a pitch / reminder that if you haven't had a chance to come in and do your projects, we're trying to wrap this up by the end of the month. Our original deadline was the 16th, but we're giving a little bit more time just for people to fill those in, so we can get this all wrapped up and included in our SEDS update. So I'm happy to answer any questions or take any comments. And Jen just threw the email that we're using for this project into the chat. So if you need to contact us about the project, feel free to use that email. If you reach out to us, we can forward it along. We just use that because there's a couple of people connected in on this project, and it's a great way for us all to have access to those emails.
Thank you, Shayna and Natalie. That's all we had. If there were any questions? Jen?
Jen wants to know how she can get a hold of this software and utilize it in REDC's territory. So I may be talking with you guys sometime about that. That's really cool because we do it through PDF forms, but yeah, I email everybody and then I have to follow up with emails and all that kind of stuff. And so create a new form every year. So I would love to, that looks fantastic. And so I would love to talk with you guys sometime about that.
Happy to. And now just for anyone there, we are still using the free version of Airtable to do this. And by just creating a generic login to Airtable that we're able to share in that controlled fashion with each of you to complete the form, we didn't need to create additional accounts. And so it kept us within that very low cost free version. So, and then Natalie also just shared in the chat the instructions for using the project portal. And hopefully we'll be able to share this in a way that we can post it online as well. So the projects can live online a bit more dynamically in the project portal.
Yeah, there's a way to embed this information on a website or link to it. So we use parts of Airtable on our website to show who our commissioners are or who our committee members are, and they appear as little cards. So there is a way to format that. And I also want to give a shout out, I was really interested in streamlining this process, but Rachel Dewey, our senior data analyst, she created this database. So I just want to give her credit for that. She was super helpful in this project.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
I'll pass it back to you as our facilitator for the day.
Yeah, no problem. Well, and I was also going to just add in, so REDC, for those of you who are in our territory, in our region, we are also in the process of finalizing our priority project list. We actually have a SEDS committee meeting tomorrow. It's in Seabrook at noon. And even if you're not in our region, we always welcome our regional partners and other communities to come and join us if they would like to. But we will be talking tomorrow about about the updates to our projects. At this point, we don't have any new projects. But even though we're going to talk about them tomorrow, if there's anybody here that's in REDC's territory that has a new project lead and would like to talk about it, please reach out. If we can get it ready for tomorrow, that's great. If not, we can always do some things via email, but we are also in that process. All right, so I think that's it about SEDS, unless anyone else has a question. I want to remind everybody who is still here that we are coming up on the end of our CEDR grant quarter, and we will be we through SRPC will be submitting to BEA the quarterly report, and so we really need your metrics. I know some of you did this for the first quarter, and anything that you can provide. I know we talked about like your outreach programs, your newsletter reach or your email reach, any kind of social media metrics that you have, but also, we talked about what is it that this group provides for you to help your community, to help your employers, employees, those kind of things. So that we have to have that in, I think it's by the end of the month, Jen, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So if we can get, ideally, if you have those, if you could submit those to Jen, should they email them to you? I mean, if I get them, I can forward them to you, but.
Yeah, it's to myself, yourself, to Jill. Ultimately, they need to land in my inbox.
But if we can get those by the end of the week, that would be fabulous, so that we can pass those on to Mikkel and their group so they can see all the wonderful things that this group is providing and doing. So that's the reminder. And then finally, roundtable time. Is there anything that anybody here would like to discuss with the group or share or have questions about? Oh, I see a hand raised. This is so much fun being the facilitator. Joe, go for it.
Yes, I just wanted to let the group know that Durham got a $25,000 grant to do a housing needs analysis, and they are beginning to do that. And separately, UNH is also doing a housing needs analysis. So there's a big look at housing in Durham right now, and how it can be accommodated, or what needs to be done, or how they can participate in a regional solution. So.
Excellent. Anyone else?
I would just follow up Joe's note and say that last Friday we adopted our regional housing needs assessment, and it is available on our website. I am happy to put that link in the chat for anyone.
And Jill's here. Do you know the status of RPC region? that-
I do know that it's complete and it's on our website. In terms of actually formally adopting it, I'm not sure where we're at, but it's definitely complete and available on the Rockingham Planning Commission website.
Excellent. Thanks, Jill.
Sure. And nice job facilitating today.
Thanks. You guys make it easy. All right. Anybody have anything else for the group? Any questions?
Was Jen going to put that in the chat? Okay, thanks.
Good. Are you talking about the housing plan?
The housing needs assessment?
There's a few tweaks that came out of that were through the comment period that haven't been incorporated. Okay, so we still have to upload the final version, but we can take a look at it. Okay. Just wanted to make.
Thanks, Shayna.
Yeah, the versions that are still on the project page, because we just adopted on Friday, are the version we posted for the public comment period. I put the project page on in the chat, so when we do update with the formatted and final version that was adopted on Friday, that will be there.
Great, thank you.
So I can send that out to the group. I'm planning to get that up today. Natalie had made all the changes on Friday, so I just have to PDF it and get it up there.
You know, Shayna, if you send me the link or whatever, then when I send out the slides from today's, I can include it. And Jill, if you want to send me the link as well, then I'll just have them all in one email so that we're not bombarding our committee with a whole bunch of emails.
Absolutely, I'll do that.
Perfect, thank you. All right, anything else? All right, well then I said that's good for today's meeting. Thank you everyone for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.